Up, guys? Welcome back to Mindset Matters. The title of today's episode is The Importance of Creativity in Business. Cue the intro. So today we have with us Arbre'Naiya Richardson. So we'll be going through her origin story. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Aubrey.
Oh, I feel like I'm in an interview. Okay, so hello, my name is Arbre'Naiya Richardson. I am a student here at Dallas College. I also serve as the El Centro SGA president. Yay. I'm also pretty involved in space, specifically within their marketing committee. And I am also the former PR officer for TJC SGA Region 2.
Okay. So you do a lot of things on campus and in school as a student leader.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what drew you to student leadership.
So as long as I can remember, specifically right around middle school, I've always was drawn towards those student leadership positions. So I was actually student body president in middle school, and then also student council president in high school, and then took on a few of the leadership positions within my extracurricular activities. So I guess it just came natural to me. I've always been drawn to leadership.
Okay. So I'll ask you this since you've always been drawn to it, what do you think? Just give me one or two qualities that you think makes for a good leader.
Um, Definitely emotional intelligence. Absolutely, you have to have emotional intelligence or be willing to develop your emotional intelligence to be a leader, and also have to say respect. You'd have to have a lot of respect for yourself and also for the others you lead and the ones you're approaching.
Okay. So with that in mind, let's talk a little bit about more about what you do. So you're going to school, you're pursuing your education in business management,
Hmm.
and have you done any internships since
I
you've been?
have, oh
Okay.
man, I've done quite a few internships. I My first internship was in high school. My senior year, I was matched with Exxon. If you don't know, it's like the gasoline oil company. My senior year, and there I was a junior administrative assistant. Um, that was an experience for me. That's where I realized that I don't like being put in environments when I'm very constrained, where there's like a process I have to follow, and I'm not able to branch out from those processes. And earlier this year, I finished up my internship for Salesforce, which is the software company, for those of you who don't know what Salesforce is. And during that internship, I learned that I absolutely thrive in uh, a workplace where they prioritize creativity and innovation, and they actively encourage you to find different ways to approach tasks um, and everything. So.
Very nice. That's very interesting you say that because I'm kind of the opposite when it comes to, yeah, I'm kind of the exact opposite. I enjoy structure because of the stabilizing influence it can have when it's followed. And so having policy and procedure in place for certain things, it kind of makes it easier to move through things. But I admire people who can operate in creative spaces because it requires you have to be comfortable with who you are. You have to know how to work with other people, and you have to be able to think quickly on your feet. And so those are all things that I see inside of you, which makes you such an effective leader. So definitely appreciate the contributions you make to the student
Oh,
body, and also
thank
just as a
you.
person. Um, but I want to talk a little bit more about some of the stuff you've been able to do. So I know, um, have you gotten a chance to, in your marketing career, have you gotten a chance to meet any notable people? Let's talk about
Yes.
that.
Actually, what's
Yeah.
today's date before I talk about this?
Today is. The 17th of October?
October.
Yeah.
Okay, so I actually got the opportunity to work with Beyonce and her team a few years back when I was working for Simone Key Curtis Studio. They were having a private event out in Houston, and they contacted Simone's creative agency to kind of help with that. And then since I was their social media manager at the time, I got the opportunity to make the what would you call it, the social media content for that event, and in return we got to go. So I didn't get to meet Beyonce,
Yeah.
but I got to see Beyonce. That's all that matters. Okay,
Yeah, that
Queen B.
is. And I'm not really a lot into music, but that's one of the few people I know who they are. Like
Yes.
she's a big deal in the music industry.
Are you into football?
I am.
You know
Yeah.
OBJ?
Odell Beckham Jr. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
There was a Father's Day event that Simone also hosted out here in Dallas.
Okay.
And I got to briefly see him. He briefly appeared, but it was mostly his father and his younger.
While he was on the New York Knicks, New York Giants. While he was on the Giants, or
I don't
you don't
know.
know
I
which team?
don't
Okay.
know about football, but whatever
Yeah.
team he was on in 2022 is.
2020. Okay. Okay. He wasn't. I don't think he was on the Giants anymore, but I think he was on the Rams. He may have been on the Rams, but yeah, no, I love him as a player. Like he's pretty cool. He's one of the best wide receivers in the league when he was in his prime. So you said you got to meet him, or you got to see him, or
I briefly spoke with him. I didn't get a chance to have a conversation. I mostly
did you get an
spoke to.
autograph?
I wish. No, my dad
man.
got an autograph. I made
Did
sure.
you steal it from him?
No,
I would have stolen it.
he was clutching onto that
Oh, he's
football.
not
He
gonna-
was not. I couldn't even hold it. I was like, okay.
You got to distract him one day. Just take the football and run.
I'm gonna bring it to you.
Yeah, I need that. I need that. No, but I thought that was really cool because I remember as when we were talking, you talked about some of the people that you've met. I've not met a lot of famous people, although once in a sales conference in Chicago, I got to meet Mike Tyson. So that was amazing.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, it cost a lot of money to get him out there, but he did like a presentation, and then he also took pictures with all the people who came. So
So now I think
that
about
was really
it.
cool.
I think back in middle school, I was a part of this karate program called Kickstart Kids. It was founded by Chuck Norris. So for one of our belt ceremonies, we actually had Chuck Norris come out there and watch
Really?
us like perform and do
Okay.
moves, and then we took a picture of him. It's pretty chill.
So you have met quite a
You know,
number
now
of
I really
important
think
people.
about it.
That's awesome. I really like being able to, like, I don't know a lot of people, because I'm not into social media and stuff, but there's some big names out there, and it's always cool to be able to be connected with some of them. So I want to talk, like, in addition to your like marketing career. So you said you work with Simone Key Creative Studio, and you served in what positions there?
I was an executive assistant, so I was like her right hand gal when it came to any administrative tasks and everything, and also a social media manager.
Okay. And so with those two things, you were aware of a lot of the scheduling. You probably had a chance to take lead on a lot of projects there. Okay. Did you work with a large team, or was it?
No, at the time it was relatively small. I want to say it was me and then 3 other designers under her and then herself. Yeah.
Okay. Small team, but that's cool. You got a chance to do a lot of work. So I know you did these internships while you were at Dallas College. So let's talk about why you chose Dallas College. What made you choose to come to Dallas College?
Dang, which story do y'all want?
Both of them.
Both of
We
them.
want both of them.
I did not choose to come to Dallas College. At first, I was going to go to Rice and pursue a degree in computer science. That's what I wanted to do, but my parents, at the time, my great-grandmother, she was sick, so they wanted me to stay closer to them, which was in Dallas. So with the money I had, my best option was Dallas College because I was in Dallas Promise and also Rising Star, so my full tuition and cost of attendance would have been paid for.
Nice. Okay, so your whole associate's degree all paid for?
It was. It was. At the time, it was all paid for.
That's awesome. So let's talk about some of because I know you are very skilled in the marketing field. So you have like a wide range of skills. Why don't you tell the audience what you know how to do inside of marketing and business? Yeah.
Marketing and business. Okay, so for the marketing aspect, I am really key on market research. I'm actually in a externship with Grace Institute right now for not social media, for their customer market research. Very excited for that. I just started, so can't really tell too much on what that entails. Um, Also, marketing, I'm really key on graphic design. And with graphic design, that's specifically like layout design, yeah, typography, and social media assets as well.
Wow, that's a long list of skills. I know when we were talking earlier, I kind of wrote them down. It's a pretty long list, but um, that kind of explains how well-rounded you are as a person too. Just having had experience with all of these different aspects of marketing and branding and digital marketing, you get to know a lot about things and people when you deal with those things. So when I look at that list, one of the things that pops out to me in order to be effective in those spaces is attention to detail. So you are a very detail oriented person. Um, where did that come from?
Um, Honestly, that came from my mom. I remember growing up when we cleaned the house and we'd miss a spot. She's like, "Oh, this isn't clean." Then you look on the floor and it's like there's nothing on the floor. And then she'd lift up the covers to our beds. And it's like, wow. So growing up, definitely like cleaning up, we'd have to pay attention to like the little spots just because they will be getting checked. And then I guess that kind of bled into my schoolwork and my professional work as well. Because I'm always looking to see if everything's in order. Even if it's like the smallest thing, it can make the biggest difference because it's the little things that makes up the big picture.
Yeah,
So definitely have to pay attention to the small things.
yeah, little things. Yeah, details matter for sure. And I know when I was a kid, I could not get away with anything.
You
And
telling
I
me?
tried so hard. I tried so hard. I had full plans that I made, and just speaking to the importance of detail, it'd just be one detail that I missed, and it would unravel the entire thing. And my mother was very, very, she was a clean freak in particular. So, like, she was very detail oriented because of that, and I could not get away with it. So I just learned the importance of knowing that those details will always show up because of that. But speaking about early childhood, let's talk about what is your earliest memory in life?
Oh gosh.
Let's go back.
We going back. I don't even feel like doing math. Some years. We're going back a number of years. I want to say my first memory is when I was 3. Like I remember being in my diaper and everything. I had a little Snoopy toy. I think I got it from McDonald's, and I ended up breaking the Snoopy off of its like piano. And I tried to play the piano on the toy, but the thing was, it was like 2 inches small.
Oh,
I was like this tall, so I'm over here trying to type on the keyboard while sitting on the bench, but every time I looked under my butt, the bench would be sideways. So I'm like, okay, I gotta like sit on it. So I like lift up and sit on the bench and sit down again, and it's sideways again. And I just remember going through that whole process for like 20 minutes.
trying to figure out why.
Trying to figure out why. And I eventually got frustrated. So I'm like throwing a tantrum, and my mom comes in. She's like, "Girl, go watch TV." And I was like, "Okay." Give me this.
Did you ever figure out
No,
why? No.
no, I think I just woke up and I was like, wow, that's why. That's why it wasn't working. Okay, cool.
One of life's great mysteries.
Gravity.
Why the gravity? I've never heard it put that way, but we're gonna go with that. So I'm gonna tell you a story about me. My earliest memory, I was also throwing a temper tantrum,
No.
and I used to do this thing when I was young. When I was mad, I would lay down on the ground, and I would like extend my limbs and just lay there. And so my parents, they would always come over and try to. My brothers, in particular, would be the first ones to do it. So they try to pull to get me up, and I refuse, and they try to like bend my limbs to get me to bend because they was all straightened out, and that was just, I don't know. Whenever I got mad at that age, that's what I did, and so I don't know what hurt more, the them trying to straighten my limbs, or like the fact that they would just walk away when they couldn't.
Wow.
Say, just leave me.
I can
So that's,
imagine you like
yeah.
throwing a tantrum in like the grocery store and you're just like sprawled out.
And they would just they would try and then they would leave. And so I'm not sure what hurt more, but I just,
Oh my God, is they
to,
coming back for
yeah,
me?
to this day, it's still, no, it doesn't hurt, but it's just, it's something funny I laugh at now. But
That's so cute.
yeah, it's just interesting that
That's really cute.
both of our earliest memories are temper tantrums.
It's a canon event.
Imagine, yeah, I imagine that's a common thread with childhood. Um, but man, that's a long time ago. But we're now going to move to our next segment, which is talking about creativity and emotional intelligence in business. So those are two things that come to my mind when I think about you, Aubrey. You're very creative and you're very emotionally intelligent. And so let's talk about those one by one. So for our audience, let's talk about the importance of creativity in business. What are, go ahead.
Whew. Importance of creativity in business. Well, I think it's highly important just because creativity can directly correlate to innovation. And as you know, times are always changing, and the businesses that always come up on top are the ones who have the ability to innovate. Because your audience now is not going to be your audience later. Your consumer now is not going to be the same consumer later. So it's really important for you to grow as a business with them and be able to innovate and creatively cater to their mindset as they grow.
Okay. Yeah, creativity to me, I like that. That's a really concise definition. When I think about creativity, I know I'm not good at it, but
Don't say that.
I exist
What?
more on the analytical side, so I can do thought experiment and things like that. But as far as putting, a paintbrush to a piece of paper and ending up with something that people will pay money for, that's not me. But when I think about creativity in business, I think about flexibility, and I also think about innovation, which you mentioned nicely, because there will always be. It's almost like you have to do something that's going to separate you from the competition, right?
Always.
And innovation is really cool because it kind of creates a reason for people to pay attention to you inside of a specific field. Like, I'm not the same as everyone else, right? They're not like us. I had to
What?
throw that in there. I actually know
Okay,
what that means.
Kendrick.
I know what that means now. But it's true. Like, you have to make that statement to people.
Yeah,
What makes you different? Why should I pay attention to you? So I think creativity answers that question when you can execute on it perfectly.
absolutely.
So let's go to emotional intelligence. So when you look at situations with people, how do you navigate creating an environment or understanding how environments affect business when it comes to emotional intelligence?
When it comes to emotional intelligence, well, first, I'm going to double back. I'm just going to tell y'all a phrase that my grandmother told me all the time growing up. And it's, it doesn't matter why you walk through the fire, it's how you walk through the fire that matters. And that essentially means that it doesn't matter what happens to you, the situation you're in, but how you react to it. Because you can't control what happens to you or what goes around you, but what you can control is how you react to it. So that correlates back to entrepreneurs because we're actively putting ourselves out there. We're putting ourselves in spaces where it could go either way. There's no definite outcome on what that could happen. So it's important to approach that with emotional intelligence because, oh dang, I lost my train of thought. Cut that out. Cut that out.
No,
Restart that
that's
question.
good. That's good. So we're talking about emotional intelligence, right?
Yeah.
So inside a business, being able to read people and situations and just knowing, how to navigate creating relationships. How does that affect business environments for
Absolutely.
entrepreneurs?
So before I answer that question, I'm going to run it back and tell y'all a phrase that my grandmother told me all the time growing up. And the phrase is, it doesn't matter why you walk through the fire, but how you walk through the fire. And that's basically saying it doesn't matter what situation you're in or what's happening to you, but how you react to those situations. And that kind of correlates back to how you react to it in business because you never want to take a situation personally. What you do is not a personal attack on your character or you as a person, but like your actions or like your plan or like whatever you have. don't think of it as an attack, but rather as feedback. They're not trying to push you down, but lift you up. They're trying to give you the resources to lift you up, I
I
would
like
say.
that. That's a huge shift in mindset for people to make. And I think two things come to my mind when you say what you just said. The first thing is the power always lies with you because you're the person that decides what happens next. So, regardless of what happens to you, your reaction to it, whether you react with grace and dignity, those are things people can't take away from you. You know who you are, and that is your identity. That is your branding. Um, and so, because of that, it it will show up everywhere you go in everything you do. And so, just having confidence in that, knowing who you are and what you bring to the table, and being emotionally intelligent to know enough to know. And this is the second thing that came to my mind was that it's not about you. So, like what you said, separating feedback from a business venture to personal feedback. Sometimes people they get so attached to what they're doing that they feel like when people give feedback, they're like, "Oh, you hate me,"
Yeah.
right? And it's like someone could be sitting here watching this podcast and they could say, "Well, this sucks," right? And if I sit there and say, "Well, they hate me," right? That doesn't help the podcast or the venture. It doesn't help the business. It only, I mean, it's missing the point. So
Absolutely.
just shifting your mindset to viewing all negative input as feedback and then just making a data driven adjustment, I think is huge for people when they walk through situations. So I do want to I do want to go back to creativity just a little bit because we talked. You had mentioned a little bit about creativity, but I had another question for you. So when you look at starting a business venture, like if you're starting something for the first time, how much creativity goes into what you call it and how you know how they have like slogans?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
how much focus should a person give on something like that?
Uh, Definitely a lot. I would say very high attention to it. You never want to slack off on your branding or even like your marketing strategy ever. Because it could be the greatest product in the world, the greatest service anyone has ever seen. But if no one knows about it or if it doesn't appeal to your audience, then it won't sell. You won't get it out there. So always pay attention to your branding and make it as unique as possible because the worst thing that could happen is that you spend all this time, all of this effort on your branding identity and then it gets associated with another company and then they pull in your audience that you're trying so hard to cater to. So it's like the worst thing that could happen.
Has that ever happened to you?
Yes.
I'm listening to the way I can see it in your eyes, so I'm like, I gotta ask the
It
question.
has, it has.
So tell us a little bit about it
Um,
and what you learned from that experience.
Yes. So when I had just started my freelancing gig on the side, I took heavy inspiration from my high school mentor,
Okay.
um, like even down to the colors. And I worked really hard to go out there to network. And I was going to conferences, giving people my business cards, and it just so happened that my name was a little too similar to hers. The colors were a bit too similar to hers, and then my SOE wasn't as on par with hers. So when they typed me up, her business would come up, and then they'd put in a request with her, and I was like, dang it.
Wow. Did you run into any licensing issues or like copyright issues, or was it mostly just the business went elsewhere? Because,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, it just went elsewhere. Luckily, I didn't get hit with a lawsuit. Definitely
right.
learned my lesson. Don't do that. Don't do that. Never copy.
So I think that goes back to something you mentioned earlier about market research, which is part of that research process is finding a name. Because I know when I was looking at things to call the foundation, there was a name that I had picked originally, and I didn't end up being able to use it. Got a notice back from the Secretary of State saying, you can't use this name
Oh,
because it's been copyrighted, right? And so just having to pivot and it would have been it would have been nice. It was such a perfect name, but that it just makes sense. It was taken. So it's fine. I mean, I made the pivot, but
Oh
like,
my gosh, that reminds me of the time. It was during my graphic design class. One of our projects was coming up with our own custom candy, and my candy was called Raindrops, and it was basically like a fruit snack, like a clear, translucent fruit snack with the really colorful juice and gel inside.
was it chewy?
Yeah, so it's
Okay,
chewy. Can you guess like off the top of your heads what other candy is like that?
that's chewy with. Oh, I think I know what it. I don't know what it's called, but I know what you're talking about. Gushers, is it?
Yes, it was
Yeah.
Gushers, and
Okay.
I thought I was the smartest person in the world. I was like, yes, I'm
Yeah.
gonna go copyright this. I'm gonna produce this candy. And then Gushers happened. I was like, dang, it's the worst. It's the worst
So you
feelings
did it
ever.
before they did?
No.
Oh, they had already
They
done it.
had
I was
already
gonna
done
say
it.
that'd be a cool
I
story
didn't do
though.
my research. I was like,
Okay,
no.
okay. I thought they just beat you to the like you thought of it before it came out, but
Man, it would have been a million. I wouldn't even be here right
yeah, that's well. We're glad you're
now.
here. I mean, it would be nice if you had $1 million too, but you know, yeah, when you get there, just remember us.
Very
Remember us.
true.
But so with that, we're going to transition to our next segment. This is one of my favorite sections, tips from tips. So our vice president and COO will give you his tips for new entrepreneurs.
Yo, what is up, guys? And this is Christian Tips back for another round for tips from tips. Now, I wanted to highlight a book that I've previously finished reading over the past few months. And so it's called The Entrepreneurship Roller Coaster by Darren Hardy. Now, this is a very, very important book and has helped me on my journey. And so I decided to share with you guys in this Tips for Tips round or episode. And so I wanted to go over the few things or just three key points that has really helped me becoming an entrepreneur, not only as an entrepreneur, but also as a leader. And so I wanted to share the fact that entrepreneurship is not for everybody. I'll say that right here and right now. Entrepreneurship is not for everybody. And the reason I'm saying that is because in the book, The Entrepreneurship Roller Coaster, Darren Hardy points out that the same way how on a roller coaster there's a height requirement, there is also a requirement for entrepreneurship when you are getting onto your journey. And so basically, you need to have a passion for it. Okay. Entrepreneurship, there's a lot of pains, there's a lot of ups and downs. It's not always a smooth sailing. And so when you're getting into entrepreneurship, you have to be aware of those pitfalls. You have to be able to withstand the no's that you're going to get, the rejection, being weird or being an outcast to the normal people around you. And so you have to be able to be willing to accept that. And that's going to be a part that is hard for most to accept, but it's definitely something that you need to consider if you're going to become an entrepreneur. Another thing about that is the dedication that it takes to becoming an entrepreneur. You have to be willing to countless hours planning, countless hours of actually executing it and actually getting the work done. Because if no work gets done, then your dream is never realized. And so it'll be stuck as an idea that stays with you even after countless hours of planning, you still don't get it executed. And so you need to have a pair between the time that you're putting in for planning and also the time that you're putting in for executing. And so those are the main things in terms of, do you meet the requirements for entrepreneurship? And so the second thing that I've learned from this book is effective leadership. Okay. Not everybody needs to act like a boss. Nobody needs to act like a manager. Nowadays, when we associate boss or manager, we're thinking of somebody that makes us do things against our will or things that we don't feel comfortable doing or things that, we just simply don't agree with and they're forced upon us. And everybody despises that type of boss or everybody despises that type of leader. But in this book by Darren Hardy, he acknowledges the fact that a true leader has sympathy for all the people around him. He highlights that you need to look at the strengths and the weaknesses that everybody has because you yourself, although you may be able to do the workload, you will cause a lot more stress on yourself. And it actually shows more egotism and more signs that you do not actually fully trust your team. So you need to be willing to delegate with the people around you so that their strengths shine and so that they can cover all the weaknesses that you yourself may also have as well. And so that's just parts of effective leadership, and you'll work together a lot better when everybody's ideas are flowing with each other's. And so, yeah, you'll have a ultimately better interaction and better relationship with the people on your team. Now, the last and crucial point is the fact that you need to set your priorities straight. You need to be able to have certain and few priorities in entrepreneurship. So, for example, there was a quote in the book that said that if you're a man of many priorities, you have none at all. And the reason for that is because if I have this and this and this and this and this and this on my schedule, then I'm never going to have time to do anything and to actually dedicate the time to mastering that skill or mastering whatever habit I'm trying to build. And so set at least three main priorities in your life, whether it's entrepreneurship or whether it's even building a relationship with somebody that you know. Set that as a priority. Even God, set God as a priority in your life and then dedicate certain habits each and every day to fulfilling that certain priority or for fulfilling that certain goal. Because once you know that you're fulfilling it every single day, that means you know that you're growing every single day in that certain priority. And so when it comes to entrepreneurship, whether it's getting sales, whether it's getting winning more friends, you want to set something that you can do every single day. But anyways, guys, once again, the book is called The Entrepreneurship Roller Coaster by Darren Hardy. Highly recommend it. It was a great book. It's about 250 pages long. If you read like 10 pages a day, you can finish it in 25 days. And so highly recommend it. Anyways, let's get right back to the episode.
All right, thank you, Chris, for those tips on for new entrepreneurs. We're going to move to our next segment, which we're going to talk about how to effectively brand and market. So let's start with branding, then we'll move over to marketing. So if you had to define what branding is, what does that definition look like for you?
Sheesh, branding is so hard to define personally, but I'll definitely have to say it's your overall identity. Your identity as a business and how you communicate to your target audience.
Okay, I like that. So I know we were talking a little bit earlier about branding, and I read something in a book, so I'll kind of quote it. But it goes like, hmm, it goes like marketing, right? Is marketing is asking someone out, and branding is why they say yes.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I think I really like the way it distilled that message. So, like to me, when I hear branding, I just think of being the type of person that people will say yes to and what it takes to do that. So, I guess my next question for you is for the branding side of things, how do you effectively brand? How do you get people to say yes to what you have to offer?
So, for me personally, when I create brands, I always try to lean into what makes that business unique. So, if they're a clothing brand, but they cater towards sea turtles with long necks, I will try to. I will try to bring out those characteristics as much as possible, rather that be in their colors, um, and their logo, their secondary logo, their symbol, their tagline, just everything, even down to their marketing strategy. So, how they speak to their target audience, what language do they use, what buzzwords do they use, what channels do they use. It goes really deep, but yeah, I mostly try to focus on the unique characteristics.
Okay, I like that. Those are good things to think about strategizing what you want a brand to look like. Now, why is it important to always be aware of branding?
It's really important to always be aware of branding because, like, when you really pay attention to the products and the services you consume, have you, like, this is a question to the audience, have you ever thought about why you're drawn to those services or products? Is it the colors? Is it the overall feel of the company? Do you like what they represent? Do you like the initiative they're taking? And for that very reason, that's why it's so important because when you're creating your own business, you want people to be drawn to you for those exact reasons. It's like they're not, I wouldn't say they chose you for a reason. They're attracted to what you represent, what you put out. So you always want to communicate that.
Yeah. I guess I have a follow up question on the branding part. So, with the definition for branding, when you look at how much of branding is the story you tell, or is that more marketing?
I would say that's more of the marketing
Okay.
aspect of it, the story behind it. Obviously, you'd want to show that in your branding, but you wouldn't necessarily want to communicate that. Because when
Okay.
you were to look at McDonald's, their logo and their not their commercials, that's marketing, but like their website and
Right.
such. Does it tell a story visually?
No.
No, it's in
So
the,
the branding
it's
is
in
the
the content.
recognizable.
Yeah.
I like that. No, that's a good way of teaching it. Now we'll talk about marketing now since we kind of got into it. So we're going to ask the same three questions about marketing. So what is marketing in your definition? What would you say?
I would say, well, kind of repeating what you say, is how you communicate your story and your unique characteristics to your target audience.
So it's about storytelling.
Yeah,
Okay.
basically storytelling.
No,
That's a great way to put
and
it.
I love stories. That's why, because I knew one of them had to do with stories. I
Hmm.
just got it mixed up. So I'm glad you clarified it. But the marketing side is it is about stories. People connect with stories, and
Absolutely.
stories, the way they transfer information is just more efficient and more because it has that entertaining aspect. It engages
Hmm.
the imagination. I could go on forever about stories, but I'm not going
Yeah,
to.
the most successful
Yeah,
marketing campaigns are the ones that tell stories. You can look at Disney for an
yeah.
example. They do an amazing job with their marketing.
Yeah, and you can kind of tell, like, for instance, Nike, they sell motivation, right? It's about being motivated, being better. McDonald's is about happiness.
Hmm.
They got their jingle, put a smile on. I'm not gonna sing it, but
You're gonna have it
those
stuck in
things.
my head now.
Yeah, right now you're gonna think, but it's that's what made it so effective is
Yeah.
that when they put it through, people thought about it, it stuck in their head, and it became synonymous with McDonald's. You
Hmm.
know, the kids would drag them in there,
Yeah, even
and
with the colors of their brand,
yeah,
red and yellow. Those are very bright colors typically used. You know, the clown, the
yeah,
red nose, yellow, like a children's,
yeah.
not a hospital. Oh gosh, no.
Wow.
Like,
You went hospital.
like a children's library is very bright yellow, blue, reds.
Yellow triggers, sorry, triggers. Yellow triggers the memory too. It's a
Yes,
very that's why highlighters are yellow. When you highlight points, that yellow does something with your mind. It makes it easier for you to remember. So that's important as well. So all those are aspects of marketing. How do you do it? How do you market effectively?
I tell stories.
Tell stories. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. And yeah, stories is among the most engaging things you can do for people. Why is it important to be aware of marketing in
Absolutely.
business and in life? Yeah.
Yeah, so as an individual, you're being marketed towards literally every second of your life. Like you're scrolling through social media, you see ads, you're driving, you see billboards, you're listening to music, unless you pay for it, you hear ads. So you kind of want to think of that at your business. You're being communicated to in hopes that you're that business's target audience, that way that they could pull you in for their services or their products. And then for your business, you want to communicate yourself out to your target audience because you have hopes of pulling them in to consume your product or your service.
Mm, I like that.
Hmm.
And I would add to that just personal, on the personal side, being aware of your identity and your brand, how that's communicated to other people can enhance your ability to do business because if you're the face of or an integral aspect of your business, when people look at you, it should attract them to what you do. It should
Exactly.
add to what you do. So if you can situate your life in such a way where you can plan how you want your story to be told publicly, how you want people to look at the way you've oriented yourself, that's huge as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, so what's next for Aubrey?
See, I have concepts of a plan. I'm not president right now, so I can't really. No, I'm joking. Definitely in the future, specifically after my bachelor's degree, I do want to found my LLC and do business as a creative agency. I know right now I'm freelancing at the moment, so that's mostly so I could gain credibility and also build my clientele and also my reputation up among the creative scene in Dallas.
Okay, you already got an in with Beyonce, right? So
Right, that's my selling
that's
point.
your selling point. Oh, that's awesome. So that kind of closes out our segment. We're running out of time here. So I just want to say thank you for joining us today.
Yeah,
It's always a
absolutely.
pleasure to have you
Thank you for
around.
having
You
me.
are a breath of fresh air. So thank you for entertaining our audience and sharing your story. Marketing, right, and branding, which is extremely important. So I would encourage everybody to take the principles they learned today and use them as you continue your entrepreneurial journey. So if you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, comment, share. What else do people do? Did I get them all?
Use our hashtag,
That's right.
hashtag.
Hashtag. So there'll be links in the comments
What's
as
the
well.
hashtag?
Hashtag. We don't have a hashtag, but we're gonna get one. We're gonna get one. Aubrey's
We're gonna get one.
after consulting with Aubrey,
I got you.
we'll come up with something.
I got you. I
But
got
yeah, the
you.
links will be in the description. So if you guys want to engage with us, or
Link
ETMF,
in bio.
the ETMF Academy, our lecture and workshop, speaker series later this semester. So please keep an eye out for all of that stuff. And we look forward to seeing you guys next time. Mindset Matters, only for the hardworking.